My name is Juan Pablo Pérez Pinto. I'm 32 years old, and my academic background is based on I'm civil engineer from the National University of Colombia in 2010. After that, a project management specialist 2017, and now I'm getting my master's in infrastructure management. About my job history, several job history about road construction, and the last one, or the most longest one, was the last about advice for the Vice Minister of Transportation in my country, related to BRT and strategic transportation systems. So, talking about my internship, this is not the first time that I'm here in Japan. The first one was in 2016, attending a JICA program in Nagoya. So, in that moment, I learned how was Japan, and then I decided I need to go back to this country. After that, this training course, the Comprehensive Urban Transportation Planning, was held from October to November 15, 2018. So mainly, the course was about 37 lectures, quite intensive course, with 8 field visits, with many group discussions and workshops, and 2 main presentations, the inception report and the presentation of our product. And as well some interviews. What was the main aim about this project, this internship, was to understand our current situation in our countries, and through the lectures, all the workshops and visits, elaborate or to propose or formulate feasible improvement plans for our countries or issues in our countries. So it was consisted of 5 modules, master plans, workshops, and measures on transportation, and as well a study case and visits in Japan. So this was the first presentation about the inception report. We made an official visit to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transportation, some pictures of our lectures, workshops, and some field visits. We went to Tokyo as well to evaluate and to visit as well the cultural elements there. So the current that took me to understand what is happening in my country about the country's economic growth, how the people is trying to solve the mobility issues, getting more cars and more motorcycles. And if we compare between Japan and Colombia, Japan only has half of the cars that we have in Colombia, and we are 50 million of people in Colombia, and in Japan 127 million of people. So the rate of car ownership is quite high. That is making, basically, with all those elements, the externalities of the transportation about accidents rate, congestion, pollution, and so easy to get a car. So that is trying to push the people, or is pulling the people to leave the transportation, public transportation, and go to the private ones. So this is the outline of the presentation. First, why, and second, how, and third, then. Colombia is about 50 million people, and the capital of Colombia is Bogota, where I'm coming from. 8 million people almost. We don't have metro system, but we are solving the transportation issues with BRT, bus rapid transit. The background of the transportation in Colombia is the old model. As you can see, a lot of congestion, a lot of chaos. In the old model, fare was collected by the driver, but with the new model, we changed a lot of elements based on the BRT as backbone of the transportation system. Those are pictures about the capacity of the buses. The longest one can carry 250 people, and the smallest one is about 80 passengers. So around 2,000 buses are running now in Bogota for the BRT. On the other hand, I have to say that the quantity of daily trips by bicycle is increasing, and we see this chart about how is behaving the BRT or bus public transportation trips is growing. It was growing historically, but it's now in a steady state. That problem and issues and background took me to this research study on intermodal infrastructure management, the characterization of bicycle BRT users. I have 3 main objectives: to evaluate, to make a diagnosis of those situations, to analyze and characterize the users of BRT and bicycle, and to propose infrastructure management elements to improve that situation. Basically, Why I'm doing this? Because the people is shifting to the private transportation and is leaving the public and going to the private, and that is creating more congestion and more externalities. First, I did evaluation, and this is a map of Bogota, all the BRT corridors, and actually bicycle parking is about 5,260 slots in the system. I mean, it's linked with the system. And I classified them in 3 types, depending on the characteristics and features related to registration, security, and some other elements. And as well, I conducted a field survey, where I made a single aggregation, cross analysis, and finally the hypothesis validation. Based on that, one of the products that I did in JICA was to design the field survey. In that moment, I decided to keep the information that the BRT gave me and use that to propose the quantity of surveys. And this was the basic survey in 3 particular fields: information about the users, travel characteristics, and the convenience of the infrastructure based on their opinion. The results were summarized in different aspects: single aggregation and cross-tabulation. For example, here we can see the bicycle parking historical demand is increasing year by year. And another reason about the public transportation usage is that people think that the speed is good and is cheap. So those 2 things are the main reasons why the people is using or choosing public transportation. Based on that, the single aggregation, I took that opinion and I considered that all the elements were based on the opinion of the users, and 40% of the people interviewed scored the transportation service as better than the old model, than the traditional. For example, the vehicle ownership, and 70% of the users or respondents, they say that at least they have 1 vehicle, and that means bicycle, motorcycle, or car. Based on that, in that opinion, the cross analysis was held, and I tried to understand why the people is trying to score the BRT transportation system in that way. And for example, 47% of the interviewed or the respondents users who score the BRT as the highest score are having between $0 as income or 250, that's minimum wage in my country. Some conclusions. The potential of usage is really high because the people is willing to have more infrastructure to ride the bicycles. The economy plus the no choice are the reason of usage as well. And to provide bicycle infrastructure in the south part of the city is one of the elements, but we need to reply that in the north part. To promote bicycle rides in the first stage or the end stage as last mile solution is one of the elements that I can conclude from here, that would be a countermeasure about the externalities of transportation. The absence of communication is one of the other findings. The people doesn't know that it's for free to use the parking slots at the transportation system. So they're avoiding to use bicycles because they think that they would need to pay. Only just this is a feeling about communication. And fewer trips in public transportation and more in the bicycle are showing that the people is trying to shift to more sustainable mobility as well. Some proposals to provide in the North City area more infrastructure, friendly bicycle infrastructure. Communication campaign is the second one. And as well, the respondents say that bad condition of infrastructure, security, and lack of illumination is one of the reasons that they are not willing to have bicycle rides at night. And should be a priority from the local government to propose bicycle-friendly infrastructures in this case. I think that's all for on time, I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Applause.